after hearing Emily's account, she's in fact a freshman. She's been at school for about a month, and this is what she's experienced at the University of Pittsburgh. That's not okay. That's not okay. At this time, I'd like to welcome Pete Schell and Jessica Benner from the Thomas Merton Center for their anti-war committees. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Benner. I'm a graduate student here at Pitt, and I'm also the co-chair of the Anti-War Committee of the Thomas Merton Center. And the Merton Center is in Garfield and is the local social justice and peace center in Pittsburgh. And we've heard several stories about what happened Friday night, and we're going to hear several more as this evening goes on. But I think it's important to note that what happened in Oakland on Friday night was a continuation of what had happened the entire week before the G-20 came to town. The police intimidated people, stole their property, wrongfully imprisoned them, and the list goes on. And as we now know, many people were oppressed, including public citizens, the press, even students, and even the whole nation, by the slow decay and loss of our constitutional rights. So there are many questions that we need to be asking our elected officials and our university administrations about what happened not only Friday night, but for the entire week of the G20. Every one of them should be held accountable for their part in the gross violation of people's rights. So the Merton Center and the Anti-War Committee, we stand in support and solidarity of everyone who was arrested, mistreated, or affected in any way. And this is only the beginning for the fight for justice here. So look to your neighbor in the crowd and get to know them, because we all have to stick together. And because this cannot ever be seen as being acceptable in any way.
My name is Pete Schell. I am with the Anti-War Committee also. I am detainee number 2668. I want to thank the ACLU for helping to get this space here. I want to thank the students here for organizing this. And I want to thank the ACLU for not only getting the physical space, but for helping open up the political space for us to continue to organize. Okay, how's this? Is it better? Okay. As Jessica said, in the weeks leading up to the G20 and during the week of the G20, we were met with political repression. They denied or delayed getting permits, and the police wouldn't let the Three Rivers Climate Convergence have their climate encampment in the park, even though they got a permit for it. They consistently hassled the Seeds of Peace bus, who were trying to feed people for free. Is that a crime? I'm not sure. I don't think it was. The city and the county governments have been trying to silence us because they don't like our message. They've been welcoming the G20 with a red carpet. Instead, we welcome the protesters. From Pittsburgh and from around the country, we welcome the protesters. And the people around the world. It's important that our message not be silenced or forgotten in the midst of the police repression. So I'm going to remind you briefly what our message is. We organized the People's March on last Friday. Our message was money for human needs and for the environment, not for war. We are opposed to the G20 style policies that have contributed to the economic and environmental crises that we're facing. That's our message. Let's not let that be forgotten. We are also against the illegal and brutal wars of occupations in Iraq, Afghanistan, Gaza, and now Honduras. And we stand in solidarity with the students, with you all, whose campus was illegally occupied by G-20 riot police on Thursday and Friday evening. Even though the magnitude of that occupation was much smaller than the occupation of entire countries who have withstood U.S. military for many years, it's nonetheless horrible, inexcusable, and illegal. On the day of Friday, September 25th, we had the largest protest march in Pittsburgh history since the 70s. About 8,000 people marched, and we were peaceful and we were legal, despite the menacing riot police who were lined up on both sides of the street sometimes. In Chenley Plaza in Oakland that evening, Instead of being able to relax after the week's events, we were met with the same menacing riot police that had provoked people during the march. And yet we were still peaceful. They would not let us disperse. They forced many of us onto the cathedral lawn, and they trapped us. We were trying to disperse, but they trapped us, and they arrested us. So let's stay united, students and community, black and white. This is an important movement that we have going on now to stick up for our rights. We are still going to be struggling for our First Amendment rights along with you. The Merton Center is organizing an emergency meeting for our First Amendment rights on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. at the East Liberty Presbyterian Church. We'd like to invite you all to come to continue this campaign for our civil liberties and for accountability. And we're going to keep organizing against the wars. If you're interested in joining the anti-war movement, mark your calendar for October 17th. It's a national day of action against the wars, and we will be organizing something. We'd like to invite you to join us. Thank you all very much, and keep up the struggle.